Today, I stand before you not just as a leader of a nation, but as a voice for a people who have long endured hardship and struggle. The world has witnessed countless challenges, but what I am about to say will shake the very foundations of complacency and demand urgent attention. For too long, our continent has been treated as a place of endless resources to be exploited, while our people remain trapped in cycles of poverty, injustice, and neglect. This is no longer acceptable. We must reclaim our destiny with courage and conviction. The time has come to dismantle the structures that perpetuate inequality and to build a future where every citizen can thrive with dignity. We face threats from within and beyond our borders: corruption, conflict, and external interference that undermine our sovereignty. But these challenges will not define us. We will confront them head-on, united in purpose and unwavering in resolve. Our strength lies in our unity, our heritage, and our unwavering belief in justice. To the international community, hear this clearly. True partnership means respect and equality, not dominance and exploitation. We demand fairness in trade, technology, and diplomacy. We are not here to beg for aid. We are here to assert our rightful place in the global arena. To my fellow citizens, I call upon you to rise, to reclaim hope, to foster innovation, and to rebuild our institutions with transparency and accountability. The future is ours to shape, but only if we stand together, steadfast and determined. Let this moment be remembered as the turning point, the moment we said enough. The world will watch, and the world will learn that a new era is dawning, one where justice, peace, and progress are not mere dreams, but reality. For far too long, Africa has been subjected to exploitation that has left its people marginalized and its resources drained. This exploitation is not a relic of the distant past. It continues today in many forms, from unfair trade practices to the extraction of natural wealth without equitable returns. The consequences of these actions have been devastating. Widespread poverty, underdevelopment, and social inequality persist across the continent. It is no longer enough to merely recognize these injustices. We must actively reject them and take firm steps to reclaim our destiny as a people and as nations. The future we envision is one where every citizen, regardless of their background or location, has the opportunity to live with dignity. This means access to quality education, healthcare, and employment opportunities that allow individuals to provide for their families and contribute meaningfully to society. It means breaking free from the chains of dependency on foreign aid and influence and building self-sufficient economies that serve the needs of their people first. To build such a future, we must begin by redefining our relationship with our own resources. Africa is endowed with vast natural wealth, minerals, fertile land, water, and energy resources that can power sustainable development if managed properly. Yet, too often, these resources have been exploited for the benefit of external actors, leaving local communities impoverished and environments degraded. It is imperative that control over these resources be returned to the people, with transparent governance and fair distribution of benefits to foster local development and social equity. This reclamation also demands investing in human capital. Education systems across the continent need transformation to equip young Africans with skills that match the demands of a rapidly changing world. Encouraging innovation, critical thinking, and entrepreneurship will empower the next generation to become creators, leaders, and problem solvers, rather than mere consumers of foreign products and ideas. Moreover, a focus on health and well-being is essential. Healthy citizens are productive citizens, and access to healthcare must be universal and affordable. Ending exploitation is not just an economic or political issue, it is a matter of justice and human rights. It requires dismantling the structures that perpetuate inequality and ensuring that governance systems are accountable to the people. Corruption and mismanagement have often diverted resources away from those who need them most, undermining development efforts and deepening mistrust in institutions. Transparency, rule of law, and active citizen participation in decision-making processes must become the norm. In this pursuit, international partnerships must be based on mutual respect and benefit rather than dependency and control. This approach will foster true global partnerships that contribute to sustainable development and shared prosperity. Reclaiming our destiny also means embracing our cultural heritage and diversity as sources of strength. Africa's rich traditions, languages, and values provide a foundation for building societies that are inclusive and resilient. Preserving and celebrating this heritage fosters a sense of pride and identity that motivates collective action toward progress. The journey ahead will not be easy. It requires courage to confront entrenched interests and perseverance to implement long-term reforms. But the rewards are worth the effort. A future where every African child has the chance to dream, to learn, and to succeed. Where communities thrive in peace and prosperity. Where the continent stands tall as a beacon of hope and innovation. This vision of dignity and opportunity for all is not a distant ideal. It is a goal within reach if we commit ourselves fully to this path. The time to act is now, with determination and unity. Africa's destiny belongs to its people, and it is our responsibility to shape it into one of justice, empowerment, and enduring progress. Throughout history, our continent has faced numerous challenges, some born from within, others imposed from without. Today, these internal and external threats continue to test our resilience and determination. Corruption, political instability, and social divisions weaken our nations from the inside, while external interference and exploitation seek to undermine our sovereignty and hinder our development. Yet despite these formidable obstacles, we stand united and resolute, ready to confront these challenges head-on and protect the future we are determined to build. Corruption remains one of the most insidious threats to our progress. It drains public resources meant for schools, hospitals, and infrastructure, leaving communities underserved and vulnerable. It erodes trust between citizens and governments, creating an environment where inequality and injustice flourish. Corruption is not merely a problem of governance. It is a threat to the very fabric of society. To confront it effectively, we must adopt a zero-tolerance approach, strengthening institutions that promote transparency, accountability, and the rule of law. Independent judicial systems, free media, and empowered civil societies are essential in exposing and combating corruption at all levels. Political instability and conflict, often fueled by ethnic tensions and competition for power, have also plagued many nations on our continent. These internal divisions distract from development goals and create conditions that are ripe for exploitation by external actors. We must recognize that lasting peace and stability can only be achieved through inclusive governance that respects diversity and promotes dialogue. This requires political leaders who prioritize the interests of their people above personal or factional ambitions, as well as mechanisms for peaceful conflict resolution and reconciliation. External interference poses another significant threat. Historically, foreign powers have interfered in our affairs for their own strategic and economic gain, often at the expense of our autonomy. Today, this interference takes many forms: military involvement, economic pressure, and political manipulation that undermine our sovereignty and stall our development. We must be vigilant in safeguarding our independence, rejecting any attempts to divide us or impose external agendas that do not align with our interests. The global landscape is rapidly changing, with new powers emerging and old ones seeking to maintain influence. In this complex environment, Africa must navigate its path carefully but confidently. We cannot allow ourselves to be pawns in geopolitical rivalries or economic competitions that leave us weakened. Instead, we must assert our interests boldly, engaging in international relations as equal partners and champions of our continent's future. Facing these challenges requires more than just determination. It demands unity among African nations and peoples. Divisions between countries and communities only serve to weaken us and make us more vulnerable to exploitation. Our strength lies in solidarity, shared goals, mutual support, and collective action. By working together, we can pool resources, share knowledge, and coordinate efforts to tackle issues that transcend borders, such as terrorism, climate change, and pandemics. Civil society and the youth play a crucial role in this united front. The energy, creativity, and passion of young people are powerful tools in driving social change and holding leaders accountable. Encouraging civic engagement and fostering a culture of active citizenship strengthens democracy and ensures that governments remain responsive to the needs of their people. In confronting these threats, we must also be mindful of the lessons history has taught us. We cannot afford to repeat the mistakes of the past, whether it be the fragmentation of our countries, reliance on external powers, or neglect of good governance. The future demands a new approach, one rooted in resilience, innovation, and inclusiveness. Ultimately, the resolve to face these challenges must come from every level of society. Leaders must demonstrate courage and integrity. Institutions must uphold justice and fairness. citizens must participate actively and hold their governments accountable. Together, this collective resolve will create a foundation strong enough to withstand any threat. The road ahead may be difficult, but it is not insurmountable. With unity and steadfastness, we will overcome corruption, internal strife, and external interference. We will build nations where justice prevails, peace is sustained, and development flourishes. Our commitment to confronting these challenges is a declaration to the world. Africa is no longer a passive observer of its fate, but an active architect of its future. This determination to face obstacles united and with resolve will not only secure our sovereignty, but also inspire generations to come. It will affirm that no force, whether internal or external, can deter us from achieving the prosperity and dignity that every citizen deserves. In this spirit, we march forward, unshaken and undeterred, toward a future defined by strength, unity, and hope. The strength of our continent has always been rooted in something far deeper than just resources or geography. It lies in our unity, our rich heritage, and our unwavering belief in justice. These elements form the foundation of who we are as a people and what we can achieve together. Despite the many challenges we face, it is this strength that gives us hope and the power to transform our future. Unity is not just a concept, but a vital necessary for Africa's progress. Throughout history, divisions, whether colonial borders, ethnic differences, or political rivalries, have often been used to weaken us. Yet when we come together, we become an unstoppable force. Our unity amplifies our voice on the global stage and enables us to address issues that affect all of us, from economic development to security challenges. The spirit of solidarity must be cultivated across all levels of society, between nations, communities, and individuals. It is through cooperation and shared purpose that we can overcome obstacles and unlock our collective potential. Our heritage is a source of immense pride and strength. Africa's diversity in culture, language, traditions, and history is unparalleled. This heritage binds us together, reminding us of our shared roots and the resilience of our ancestors. It is a testament to the creativity, wisdom, and spirit that have sustained us through centuries of change and adversity. Embracing and celebrating this heritage is crucial not only for preserving our identity, but also for fostering social cohesion and unity. It provides a common ground where we can build mutual respect and understanding, which are essential for peaceful coexistence. Belief in justice is the third pillar of our strength. Justice is more than legal systems or laws. It is a fundamental value that ensures fairness, equality, and respect for human dignity. Our commitment to justice drives the fight against corruption, inequality, and oppression. It inspires movements for social and political reforms that aim to create societies where everyone has equal opportunities and rights. Justice is the foundation upon which lasting peace and development rest. Without it, trust erodes and conflicts arise, but with it, societies can flourish. Together, unity, heritage, and justice create a powerful synergy. When united, our shared heritage becomes a rallying point that reinforces our collective identity and sense of purpose. When justice prevails, unity is strengthened, and the rich diversity of our heritage is respected and protected. This interconnectedness fuels a cycle of empowerment and progress that can propel Africa toward a brighter future. In practical terms, this means investing in institutions and policies that promote inclusion and equality. Governments must ensure that all groups, regardless of ethnicity, religion, or background, are represented and have a voice in decision-making. Education systems should teach not only knowledge, but also values that foster respect for diversity and human rights. Media and civil society play crucial roles in promoting narratives that celebrate unity and highlight shared achievements rather than divisions. At the regional level, organizations like the African Union embody this principle of unity. By working together on common goals, such as economic integration, peacekeeping, and infrastructure development, African countries can leverage their collective strength to negotiate better deals, attract investment, and address challenges that no single country can solve alone. Strengthening these institutions and expanding cooperation is key to realizing the vision of a united and prosperous continent. Moreover, our belief in justice compels us to hold leaders accountable and demand transparency. Good governance, respect for the rule of law, and protection of human rights must be non-negotiable standards for all nations. When justice is upheld, citizens feel valued and motivated to contribute to national development. It also builds confidence among investors and partners, who see stability and fairness as essential for sustainable growth. Our cultural heritage also inspires innovation and creativity, which are critical for Africa's future. Traditional knowledge, art, music, and storytelling enrich our societies and provide unique perspectives that can inform solutions to contemporary problems. Harnessing this heritage alongside modern technology and education can drive sustainable development that respects our environment and cultural values. Ultimately, the continent's strength is not just in its resources or strategic location, but in the hearts and minds of its people, united by a common identity and shared ideals. This strength is visible in the courage of those who stand up against injustice, the perseverance of communities rebuilding after conflict, and the vision of leaders committed to inclusive progress. It is a living force that grows stronger as we embrace our unity, honor our heritage, and commit ourselves to justice. This strength offers hope and a roadmap for overcoming the challenges ahead. It reminds us that no matter the obstacles, we are capable of greatness when we stand together. The journey toward a prosperous, peaceful, and just Africa is a collective endeavor that requires each of us to contribute. By holding fast to our unity, cherishing our heritage, and pursuing justice relentlessly, we can shape a future that reflects the true potential and dignity of our continent. In embracing this path, Africa will not only transform itself, but will also inspire the world with a powerful example of resilience, solidarity, and hope. Our strength lies in our unity, heritage, and belief in justice. These are the foundations upon which we will build the Africa we envision, a continent that shines with promise and leads with purpose. For too long, Africa has been viewed through a lens of exploitation rather than partnership. Our continent, rich in resources, culture, and potential, has often been treated as a source of wealth to be extracted rather than a partner to be respected. This history of unfair treatment has contributed to persistent inequality and underdevelopment. Today, more than ever, we demand fairness from the international community. Fairness that recognizes Africa not as a subordinate or a resource supplier, but as an equal partner with dignity, rights, and responsibilities on the global stage. The foundation of this demand is rooted in respect for sovereignty and self-determination. Africa's nations have the right to chart their own course, make decisions that best serve their peoples, and control their resources without undue interference. Yet far too often, external powers have imposed policies, trade agreements, and economic conditions that prioritize their own interests at the expense of African development. This has led to unequal relationships where wealth flows outward and benefits rarely reach the communities that provide raw materials or labor. Fairness means redefining these relationships to ensure that partnerships are mutually beneficial. It means moving away from exploitative practices toward models of cooperation that empower African countries to develop their economies, build infrastructure, and improve the quality of life for their citizens. Trade agreements should be balanced, allowing African industries to grow without being overwhelmed by foreign competition. Investments should focus not only on extraction but also on adding value locally, creating jobs and skills for African workers. Technology transfer is another critical area where fairness is demanded. Access to modern technology can accelerate development in sectors such as agriculture, health, education, and energy. Yet, intellectual property laws and restrictive policies often limit Africa's ability to benefit fully from global innovation. Fair partnerships would include sharing knowledge and technology in ways that build local capacity, encourage research and development, and foster innovation tailored to the continent's unique challenges and opportunities. Debt is a further dimension of unfairness that must be addressed. Many African countries carry heavy burdens from loans contracted under conditions that hinder growth and deepen poverty. Debt relief, restructuring, and more responsible lending practices are essential steps toward restoring fiscal sovereignty and enabling sustainable development. The international community must acknowledge the long-term consequences of these debts and work with African nations to create solutions that prioritize the welfare of their people. Fairness also extends to global governance. Africa deserves greater representation and influence in international institutions where decisions that affect the world's future are made. Whether in the United Nations, World Trade Organization, or international financial institutions, African voices must be heard and respected. This means reforming structures that have historically marginalized the continent and creating spaces where African priorities shape global agendas. Environmental justice is another critical aspect of fairness. Africa is disproportionately affected by climate change, despite contributing the least to global emissions. The international community has a responsibility to support Africa in adapting to climate impacts and transitioning to sustainable energy sources. Fairness demands financial support, technology access, and collaborative efforts that recognize Africa's unique vulnerabilities and contributions to global ecological health. At the heart of demanding fairness is the assertion that Africa is not a passive recipient of aid or a mere supplier of commodities, but a dynamic continent full of entrepreneurs, innovators, and leaders. We bring value not just in resources, but in ideas, culture, and human potential. Recognizing this changes the nature of international relationships from charity or control to respect and partnership. This demand for fairness is also a call for accountability. The international community must be held responsible for practices that have perpetuated inequality, whether through unfair trade policies, corporate exploitation, or political interference. Transparency, ethical business conduct, and respect for human rights must be non-negotiable standards in all dealings with African countries. African nations themselves must also uphold principles of fairness in their international engagements. Good governance, sound economic policies, and respect for the rule of law strengthen the continent's position as a trustworthy partner. By demonstrating commitment to fairness internally, ultimately demanding fairness is about dignity and justice. It is a declaration that Africa will no longer accept relationships defined by exploitation, dependency, or marginalization. Instead, we seek partnerships based on equality, mutual respect, and shared benefit. This shift is not only necessary for Africa's development, but also for a more just and stable global order. When fairness guides international relations, everyone benefits. Africa's growth and prosperity contribute to global stability, economic expansion, and cultural enrichment. By working together as equals, the international community and Africa can address shared challenges like climate change, pandemics, and security threats more effectively. This vision of fairness calls for a new chapter in global engagement, one where Africa's potential is recognized, its sovereignty respected, and its people empowered. It requires courage to challenge old paradigms and build new frameworks of cooperation that honor the principles of justice and equality. The time has come to move beyond rhetoric and take concrete actions that embody fairness in practice. Africa is ready to lead and collaborate as an equal partner. The international community must rise to meet this call with genuine commitment and respect. In doing so, we will not only correct historic injustices, but also create a future where Africa and the world thrive together, united by fairness and shared purpose. This is not merely a demand. It is a vision for a better, more equitable world. In doing so, we will not only correct historic injustices, but also create a future where Africa and the world thrive together, united by fairness and shared purpose. This is not merely a demand, it is a vision for a better, more equitable world. The strength and future of any nation ultimately depend on its citizens. It is the people who shape societies through their actions, choices, and collective will. Today, more than ever, there is a pressing call to citizens across the continent to rise with determination and courage to rebuild the institutions that serve them. This rebuilding must be grounded in principles of transparency, accountability, and innovation, values essential to creating societies where justice prevails, opportunities abound, and progress is sustained. Institutions, whether governmental bodies, judicial systems, educational establishments, or healthcare providers, are the backbone of any thriving nation. They create the frameworks within which rights are protected, services are delivered, and economic activities flourish. Yet in many places, these institutions have been weakened by corruption, inefficiency, and neglect. Citizens, therefore, have a vital role to play in revitalizing these systems to ensure they truly serve the public interest. Transparency is the first cornerstone in this process. Citizens must demand openness from their leaders and institutions. Information about how decisions are made, how public funds are used, and how policies are implemented should be accessible and clear. Transparency empowers people to make informed choices and hold those in power accountable. It builds trust, which is essential for social cohesion and cooperation. Without transparency, corruption thrives in the shadows and inequality widens. Citizens must use all available tools, media, civil society organizations, digital platforms, to ensure that transparency is more than a promise, it becomes a reality. Accountability goes hand in hand with transparency. It is not enough for citizens to be informed. They must also be able to take action when leaders or institutions fail to uphold their duties. This means establishing mechanisms that allow for scrutiny, redress, and consequences for wrongdoing. Whether through elections, independent courts, watchdog agencies, or public demonstrations, citizens must insist on systems that hold individuals and institutions responsible. Accountability ensures that power is exercised fairly and that the rights and welfare of the people come first. However, rebuilding institutions with transparency and accountability alone is not sufficient in today's fast-changing world. Innovation must be embraced as a fundamental principle. Traditional ways of governance and service delivery often struggle to keep pace with new challenges and opportunities. Citizens must be active participants in fostering innovation, encouraging the adoption of new technologies, supporting creative problem-solving, and promoting policies that are adaptable and forward-looking. Innovation in governance can lead to more efficient public services, greater citizen engagement, and solutions tailored to local contexts. In this call to action, every citizen has a role regardless of their background or status. Young people with their energy and fresh perspectives are especially crucial. They can leverage technology and social media to advocate for change, mobilize communities, and hold leaders accountable. Entrepreneurs and innovators can drive economic development and introduce new ideas that benefit society. Educators and community leaders can foster a culture of civic responsibility and ethical leadership. Each individual contributes to a collective movement that strengthens the fabric of the nation. Civic education is also vital. Citizens must be equipped with the knowledge and skills to understand their rights and responsibilities and to engage constructively with institutions. Education fosters critical thinking and empowers people to challenge injustice and demand better governance. It encourages active participation rather than passive acceptance. A well-informed citizenry is the foundation of a vibrant democracy and sustainable development. Moreover, citizens must recognize that rebuilding institutions is a long-term endeavor, requiring patience and perseverance. Change does not happen overnight, and setbacks are inevitable. However, consistent engagement, vigilance, and collaboration can gradually transform institutions into pillars of justice and progress. Citizens must hold on to hope and commitment, understanding that their collective efforts shape the destiny of their countries.